We're back for episode 1B?
It's episode 2.
Episode 2, whatever. I'm Coach Mike. I'm our marketing director here at Results Driven.
Coach Ed, owner of Results Driven, part-time lumberjack.
And today, in episode 1B, or episode 2, we're going over finer points of the 90-90 positional breathing, and we're going over a little tip from Theresa about how often you should work out.
T-Diggs. So, every month we're gonna have a theme. We're gonna try to match it to what's going on in the gym and what we believe is going on throughout the rest of the fitness industry. This month is all about a foundation. It's about your start. People are starting with New Year's resolutions. They're either getting into fitness for the first time or just renewing their focus with their fitness journey.
So in our last episode, we laid the foundation for how we would help people start to gain mobility with our 90-90 breathing. And we gave everybody a quick balsamic chicken recipe with asparagus. On top of that, we talked about how to start goal setting.
Today we're gonna go over the finer points of 90-90 breathing, some of the common mistakes that people make, and just the fact that setup is the first rep.
On top of that, like I said before, we're gonna cut to Theresa. She is our general manager here at Results Driven. She's gonna go over the intake process, what we call our strategy session, and she's gonna go over a common question that she gets, which is, how many times should I work out to reach my goal?
And then to finish off the episode, we're gonna give you some tactical advice on goal setting.
We're gonna go over what is a reasonable goal,
and what to consider when setting a goal.
With that being said, let's get started.
I'm so excited.
So let's say you work out on your own, or you work out with a coach, and there's always something that goes funky in your movement. Let's say your knees collapse, and your coach is always saying, don't let your knees collapse, drive your knees out. We're here at Results Driven, we're not gonna assume you can't remember. That's where we would go into a functional movement screen to look further at your movement.
We use the functional movement screen in the first session with our members just to set a movement baseline, but we also use it throughout your fitness journey. So if we notice there's something that's been just a little funky in your movement and there's a certain coaching cue or a certain point of a movement you can't get, the movement screen will let us know if there's any underlying movement issues. The first thing we need to address in the movement screen is if there's any deficits in mobility. So if one of the patterns in the functional movement screen leads us to believe there's a lack of hip mobility, we're gonna just do further breakouts. It's a way for us to determine what exactly we need to work on in terms of hip mobility. One of the common things that we notice is that people have a lack of external rotation at the hip.
And this is where the 90-90 breathing comes in. We'd first do some kind of soft tissue work to the glute. That could be a lacrosse ball or a foam roll. And then on top of that, we would show you how to do the 90-90 breathing exercise. So we're gonna go out on the floor and show you some of the finer points to make sure you're getting all the benefits.
What's up, friends? Coach Ed here, talking about the finer points of the 90-90 position. We tried to find a subject that has hips that function well, but we found Mike. So with the 90-90 position, it's about alignment, it's about breathing. So first off, ask yourself when you're in the position, can you get the breath? If you can get the breath, like Mike just showed, we're talking about being able to get that breath to get expansion around the midsection as opposed to chest and shoulders raising up. Looks cool, sounds horrible. So in terms of the position, we want to make sure of a few things. We want to make sure that we have spinal alignment. So right position is maintaining tall spine with a hood on. Can't do it without a hood. Tall spine from the tailbone all the way up to the top of the head. The wrong position would be slouching into it. So spinal alignment's important. We only want to go as far forward as you can maintain that alignment. So as Mike starts to lean forward, if he were to start to round the back, he no longer has integrity in the position. He doesn't have personal integrity ever, but we want integrity in this position. So maintaining spinal alignment, number one. Number two, we want to make sure you actually honor the name of the position. So 90-90. 90 degrees at the front knee and hip, 90 degrees at the back knee. After that, we want to make sure the hips are in alignment with the knee. So we want this hip, and this knee to be in a straight line. What you'll commonly see is this hip drive back. So the easiest way to make sure you get that is to think about this back hip actually actively driving through as he's leaning forward into the position. You don't have to turn this into a circus trick. Notice how he's setting his hands to just give him support to maintain spinal alignment and maintain the hip alignment. Another thing that we want to watch out for is making sure we're not leaning too far away. See how he did that? That's amazing. So if somebody's leaning too far away, meaning they're not stacked over the hips, the easiest thing to do is to set them up against a wall. We don't want to move the camera, so we're going to create our own wall. So we're going to set up the wall in a position. Imagine this is our wall that if he were to lean out of position, he would actively lean against the wall. This might actually make you notice how much you're not in proper alignment. So moving the hands forward can help someone find that alignment. Right now, if he starts to lean against the wall, then we know he's not over the hips as much. So we recommend not requiring a second person and a tall foam roll, use an actual wall, but having something to give you that awareness so you don't have to constantly have somebody check the position for you. Another thing that we can do to make sure that you're in the right position is bolster the front knee. So if we notice that he's just struggling to get in position, it might be because he doesn't have enough mobility to get into the range of motion that he's trying to explore. So what you can do is take a pad, a rolled up t-shirt, sweatshirt, a pillow, small child, large animal, whatever, put them under the knee, and that will allow you to, really you're actually accessing less external rotation here, but it's gonna allow you to find the alignment we talked about through the spine, get the hips stacked and in line as well. Hopefully these tips help you out. If this position doesn't work for you, stand by because we have a second option. As Mike says,
happy hips.
So what you just saw was 90-90 breathing. Half of that name is breathing. You have to have the right alignment, and you also have to be able to get an appropriate breath. So if you find that you either can't get into position or your breath just isn't getting to the right place, we want to show you another option. What's up, friends? Coach Ed here with Coach Mike. Highlight of the episode. So if you cannot achieve the 90-90 breathing position, you can't maintain alignment once you're in it, or you can't achieve an appropriate breath, meaning you get that breath around the midsection, this is a substitution that works for most people. So what you need is a box that's at about hip height, probably a little bit below the hip, and then you want to start off standing tall. So Mike's going to bring one leg up into that 90 position in the front. He's going to start with tall alignment, head, shoulders, hip, and foot all in a straight line, and then he's going to lean into it. So as he leans forward and uses his hand to support himself, he's going to make sure that he's not rounding from the upper back. So we don't want this. We want to make sure he maintains that alignment. So he's going to lean as far forward as he can without losing position while still maintaining that appropriate breath. So we're going to show you this from the other side. So like we said, he's going to get in that tall alignment, front leg in that 90 position, just like the 90-90 breathing, and then he's going to lean as far forward as he can without breaking at the spine. A couple things to keep in mind is we want to make sure that he's able to get this in a position that it's resting on something. So right now, for his current mobility, he's not going to have the range to get down to this position, and most people who need this substitution won't, so it's okay. What we want to do is bring that pad in, whether it's a couple pads, a rolled up towel, anything that will work for you so that you can have that point of contact. And then once you're there, just hang out and get some breaths for 30 to 60 seconds on each side. Thanks, friends.
So remember, if we're talking about getting started here at Results Driven means going through a functional movement screen. It's going to mean that members have a greater likelihood of being successful. It's going to keep them safe while they're out on the floor exercising, and it puts them on the fast track to reaching their goals.
You decided you have a goal and you have the motivation to work towards it. Don't underestimate the little things that you should work on in the start, like mobility and breathing. If you don't address those things, you're leaving results on the table.
Consistency is also something to consider. If we're talking about the 90-90 breathing position, if you do that 2 times a day for a month, do you think your hips would feel looser and you'd start to feel better? I think you would. Consistency is the key to reaching any goal.
It's the beginning of 2018 and everyone's focusing on getting started. One of the main questions we get right at the beginning of someone's journey is, hey yo, coach, how many times a week should I work out?
And that's where Theresa comes in. She's our general manager, and she goes through what we call the strategy session, which is somebody's first exposure to the results-driven system. So she's here to answer that question.
Can I get a spot, bro?
Hi, my name is Theresa Weisberg, and I'm General Manager at Results Driven Fitness. One of my favorite responsibilities is strategy sessions. During strategy sessions, I have the opportunity to speak with prospective clients. And during the strategy session, we speak about their goals, about where they would like to go. We do a functional movement screen, and we're able to talk about their schedule and how they can attain their goals. And one question I get time after time is, how often should I work out? This was an issue that I had when I have worked out over the years. Many people at this time of year especially come in and would like to really just be all in and work out 5 days a week. And then we have other people that are new to fitness that might be hesitant and not be sure and aren't sure how often they should work out. Having lived this myself, quite frankly, I know that when I overdid it, I got burned out. So one of the things that worked for me, and one of the things that I tell our clients, is consistency is key. If working out twice a week fits into your schedule and works with your family life, and you can actually do it week after week after week, after a year, think about it, you would have 100 workouts in. And I just recently spoke to a client that just celebrated her 1-year anniversary with us. She has been consistent with twice a week. And I said to her, how do you feel compared to a year ago? And she was amazed. She felt so much better, even just spending the 2 times a week. Of course, goals can be met on an accelerated basis if you can do more than twice a week. But to do 5 times a week for a month and then take a month off or get burned out, that's just not going to be something that would be beneficial to anyone. We like to see you, but we really like to see you achieve your goals. That's the main focus here. And as you do achieve your goals, we love to have goal setting sessions where we can speak to you about your new goals. And that's really, really exciting. So it's a new year and you have some goals. The first thing to do is to look at your schedule and to determine how often you can work out. Then the next step is, most importantly, to find a place that will embrace your goals and will help you achieve them. And if you're watching this video, I think you know what I'm going to suggest. Come on into Results Driven Fitness and let us help you out.
Theresa is a great person to talk about this topic, because when she started at Results Driven, she was in the same place as a lot of other people that were starting at Results Driven, meaning she had tried other fitness avenues but wasn't seeing the results that she wanted to.
And when she started, we wanted to make sure that she had a reasonable goal. You know, at first she was focused on improving certain things about her health. She wanted to improve her bone density. That's something that was measurable. It's something she could accomplish in a reasonable period of time, and we could actually check to see how much progress she's made towards it.
So one of the things that you need to consider when you are setting a goal is the goal that you're trying to set measurable?
Another question I ask is, not only is it measurable, is it something that I can make progress towards in a 3-month time period? You know, goals, we have long-term goals, we have short-term goals. We want to make sure whatever we're working towards, we can, in the first quarter of the year or in the next 3 months, we can make enough progress that we feel good about ourselves.
So whether you're working towards a very long-term goal or a shorter-term goal, make sure that you build small wins into your process to make it sustainable.
At Results Driven, we don't like to lose, which is why we try to build in as many systems as possible.
We're going to start by addressing mobility. And then in the client process, we're going to talk to them about how frequently they should try to come to the gym to help them reach their goals in the time that they want to. The one system that drives all of our exercise choices here is the functional movement screen. And the first thing that they tell us to address is mobility. After that, we're going to talk to the client about frequency to help set them up for success.
Join us next week. We're going to talk about the goblet squat, our first nutrition habit, and you'll get to meet Coach Janine. She's going to talk a little bit about community.
Thanks for joining us.
I miss you already.